I spent $300 on a new suit for Amanda's corporate holiday party. After 5 years together, I was finally going to meet her coworkers. She always kept her work life separate, claiming it was professional boundaries, but I was excited to see this side of her world. Lately, though, something felt different. She was more distant, protective of her phone, less affectionate. I ignored the warning signs, focused instead on making tonight perfect. Before I tell you what happened at that party that changed everything, let me know where you are watching from. Hit that like button and subscribe if you have ever had someone make you question your own worth. I met Amanda at my college friend Jake's backyard barbecue 6 years ago. She walked in wearing a blue sundress that matched her eyes, and I could not look away. We talked until 3 in the morning, long after everyone else had left. Our connection felt instant and real. Within weeks, we were dating exclusively, and everything clicked into place like I had found my missing puzzle piece. After dating for a year, moving in together seemed natural. We found a 2-bedroom apartment downtown, walking distance to her office, and a short drive to mine. I offered to pay 70% of the rent and utilities, since I made more as a software developer, while she was still climbing the corporate ladder in marketing. She accepted without hesitation, promising to contribute more once she got promoted. Our life together seemed perfect. We had our routines, our favorite restaurants, weekend hiking trips, and plans for the future. I thought I would marry this woman someday. Amanda was smart, ambitious, and beautiful. My parents loved her, though. Looking back, her parents always kept me somewhat at arm's length. I chalked it up to them being more traditional and formal. The first signs that something was changing appeared about 8 months ago. Amanda received a promotion at work, and her behavior shifted subtly. She became obsessed with career advancement, mentioning her boss Trevor constantly, and talking about company politics at dinner. I supported her ambition, completely proud of her dedication and success. What bothered me was how our relationship began taking a back seat. Physical affection decreased gradually from passionate daily interactions to brief kisses, goodbye. Date nights became working dinners, where she answered emails between courses. Weekend trips got canceled last minute for work emergencies that somehow never had documentation I could see. I also noticed she rarely posted about us on social media anymore. Her Instagram featured solo photos at work events or girls' nights out, but none with me since last Christmas. When I asked about it casually, she said, "My professional image is important now, Hugo. Not everything needs to be public." I dismissed these concerns, attributing them to the natural evolution of a long-term relationship and her growing career responsibilities. I told myself that mature relationships were not always exciting, that we were building something lasting instead of flashy. I believed in us enough for both of us. The day of her company holiday party, I wanted everything to be perfect. I got a fresh haircut, bought that expensive suit, even had my shoes professionally shined. I purchased a small, thoughtful gift for her boss based on details she had mentioned about his golf hobby. I wanted to make a good impression on these people who meant so much to her career. Amanda seemed anxious as we prepared. She kept checking her appearance, changing earrings 3 times, and texting rapidly with coworkers about who would be there. In the car ride to the upscale downtown hotel hosting the event, she suddenly established ground rules. "My boss is very traditional," she said, checking her lipstick again, "and extremely judgmental about personal lives affecting work performance. So try not to mention how long we have been together or anything too personal. Keep conversation professional." I nodded, assuming this was normal corporate politics. "No problem. I will follow your lead." When we arrived, the ballroom was elegantly decorated with a winter wonderland theme. Several colleagues greeted Amanda warmly, and she introduced me by name, only not specifying our relationship. I thought nothing of it, assuming the nature of our relationship was obvious. She did not hold my hand or stand particularly close to me, but again, I rationalized this as professional behavior. Then came the moment that would replay in my mind for months afterward. Her department head and direct boss Trevor approached with his wife. Amanda straightened visibly, her smile widening. "Trevor, Susan, I would love you to meet Hugo," she said smoothly, gesturing toward me. "He is my roommate. He has heard so much about both of you." Roommate. The word hit me like ice water. Not boyfriend, not partner, not significant other of 5 years. Roommate. I stood frozen, my hand still extended toward Trevor, who shook it firmly. My mind struggled to process what had just happened. Had I misheard her? Was this some kind of joke? The conversation continued around me while I tried to regain my composure. Trevor asked what I did for a living, and I answered mechanically about my software development position. Good to have a roommate who can fix your computer problems. Trevor laughed clearly, understanding nothing about either software development or our actual relationship. I glanced at Amanda, waiting for her to correct him, to laugh and say, "Oh, Hugo is actually my boyfriend of 5 years." But she never did. Instead, she smoothly changed the subject to a marketing campaign, leaving me standing there like an accessory she had brought along. As the evening progressed, the pattern continued. To every single person she introduced me as her roommate, each time a piece of my heart crumbled. Some colleagues seemed confused, as if they had expected something different. Others accepted it without question, treating me with the casual indifference reserved for someone who simply shared living space. At one point, I excused myself to get drinks and overheard Amanda talking to a senior manager about her 5-year plan. "I am fully committed to my career right now," she was saying. "No distractions or complications. I want that regional director position, and I am willing to do whatever it takes." The word stung, but what hurt more was watching her interact with a colleague named Jackson. He was clearly single, conventionally handsome in that corporate way, with his perfect haircut and tailored suit. Amanda laughed too loudly at his jokes, touched his arm unnecessarily, and stood closer to him than she had to me all night. After an hour of this treatment, I could not take it anymore. I waited until Amanda was briefly alone and guided her toward a quiet balcony area. The December air was cold, but the fire in my chest kept me from feeling it. "Why are you calling me your roommate?" I asked, keeping my voice calm despite the storm inside. Amanda immediately tensed. "It is not a big deal, Hugo. Office politics are complicated. We have been together for 5 years. I paid for most of our life together. How is that just a roommate?" Her expression hardened. "Look, Trevor is old-fashioned. The company culture values certain appearances. Being seen as settled down too early might make them think I am not fully dedicated to my career trajectory. So our entire relationship is just inconvenient for your image." The hurt in my voice was unmistakable. "You are overreacting," she hissed. "This is my career we are talking about. My future. Can you just play along for one night without making it about you, about me? This is about us. 5 years erased, because it might look bad to your boss. You are ruining my night," she said, glancing nervously toward the party. "We will talk about this at home. Just please do not make a scene." For the remainder of the evening I stayed. Not because I wanted to, but because walking out would have created the scene she feared. I drank too much champagne and engaged in hollow conversations where people asked about our roommate arrangement and whether we had a chore chart. One woman even suggested her single friend might be perfect for me, while Amanda stood silently by. The car ride home was suffocatingly silent. I stared out the window, watching holiday lights blur through unshed tears. Amanda gripped the steering wheel tightly, jaw clenched. Neither of us spoke until we were inside our apartment, with the door firmly closed. "How could you do that to me?" The words burst out of me as soon as we were alone. "Do what exactly?" "Ask you to respect my professional boundaries for one night." She threw her purse onto the counter and kicked off her heels. "You called me your roommate, like the past 5 years meant nothing. Like I am just some guy you split the bills with. You are being dramatic. It is just terminology." "No, it is not just terminology. It is our life together, our relationship. Did any of them even know you were in a relationship before tonight?" Her hesitation was answer enough. The revelation knocked the wind from me. "So for how long have you been hiding me?" I asked quietly. She sighed dramatically. "My personal life is not their business. The company promotes based on dedication and focus. Trevor passed over Diane last year, after she got engaged, because he felt she would be distracted with wedding planning and starting a family. So what is your plan here? Hide me forever. Pretend to be single until you reach some arbitrary career goal. Then what I do not know. Why are you pressuring me about this? I am trying to build something important. And what am I building? What have I been investing in for 5 years while paying most of our expenses? That is when she said it. Words that would change everything between us. You should feel lucky I keep you around at all. My world stopped. What did you just say? Look at yourself, Hugo, she continued, her voice cold and unfamiliar. Your career has plateaued. You wear the same 5 shirts until they fall apart. Your idea of ambition is getting a slightly better title at the same mediocre company. Meanwhile, I am going somewhere. Do you think you would be living in an apartment this nice without me? You should be grateful I have not traded up for someone more on my level. Each word was a knife, precise and brutal. I stood there bleeding emotionally as she systematically dismantled my worth as a partner and a person. She criticized my appearance, my friends, my hobbies, even the way I chewed my food. All flaws she had apparently been cataloging for years, while I believed we were building a life together. And then in a moment that would haunt me for months, I apologized to her. You are right, I said, quietly defeated. I am sorry for making a big deal about this. I should be more supportive of your career. She nodded curtly, accepting my apology, without offering one in return. I am going to bed. Lock up. And just like that, she went to our bedroom and closed the door, leaving me alone with the shattered pieces of what I thought our relationship was. I did not sleep that night. I sat on our couch replaying not just the evening but our entire relationship. How many times had she subtly put me down? How often had she made me feel I was lucky to have her rather than us, being equals? The signs had been there for years, but I had been too in love, too committed to our future to see them clearly. At 3 a.m, something shifted inside me. A quiet voice that had been smothered for years finally spoke clearly. I deserved better than this. I deserved someone who was proud to have me, someone who saw me as a partner, not a convenience or a financial contributor. The realization was both liberating and terrifying. 5 years is a long time to invest in someone. Our lives were completely intertwined, from shared friends to kitchen appliances. But staying meant accepting this dynamic, permanently becoming the hidden roommate she could discard when something better came along. While Amanda slept, I checked our finances on my laptop. Despite making good money, she had almost nothing saved, spending lavishly on clothes, expensive lunches and weekend trips with work friends that I was never invited to join. Meanwhile, I had been saving, consistently planning for our future, a future she clearly did not envision, including me. I found our lease agreement in the filing cabinet. My name was primary on all the paperwork, since my credit score had been better when we applied. I was legally responsible for the entire rent amount, not just my portion. This detail suddenly felt significant in a way it never had before. Before dawn, I began researching apartments on my phone. I found several available immediately, including a modest 1-bedroom near my office. While Amanda showered, I made calls, speaking in hushed tones, securing a temporary place with my friend Ryan, who had a spare room. I called my boss next, requesting a personal day for an emergency. He agreed without questions, having seen my consistent work record for years. Amanda emerged from the bathroom wrapped in a towel, still not speaking to me. She dressed quickly, applied makeup, and grabbed her purse. At the door, she paused. I have dinner with clients tonight. Do not wait up, she said, not meeting my eyes. No apology, no acknowledgement of last night, not even a goodbye. Just instructions, as if speaking to household staff. After she left, determination replaced my initial uncertainty. I called some friends who had never particularly liked Amanda, but had stayed loyal to me. They agreed to help move my essentials that day. Next, I contacted our landlord, explaining I needed to break the lease due to personal circumstances. Because of my perfect payment history, he was sympathetic but firm about the financial penalties involved. I accepted them without hesitation, knowing my freedom was worth the cost. As I packed my clothes, I uncovered years of memories. The ticket stubs from our first concert together, birthday cards with loving messages that contrasted sharply with her recent behavior, photos from vacations where her smile now looked practiced rather than genuine. I took only what was unquestionably mine, leaving shared purchases and gifts I had given her. Despite my pain, I would not be petty. My friends arrived at noon, and we worked efficiently, loading my personal belongings into their trucks. Furniture I had owned before we met, my book collection, my grandmother's antique clock. With each item removed, the apartment looked increasingly barren, mirroring the emptiness of our relationship. Before leaving, I sat at the kitchen counter and calculated exactly what I had contributed financially over 5 years. 70% of rent and utilities monthly. Groceries I had paid for entirely for the past year, as she claimed to be saving for a work wardrobe. Vacations where I covered flights while she handled hotels, only to discover now that she had used company points for those accommodations, effectively contributing nothing. I did not ask for any of that money back. Instead, I wrote a simple note on our shared notepad, words I had carefully considered: "Good luck paying rent, roommate." I placed it prominently on the counter next to her coffee maker, the expensive one I had bought for her last Christmas. I took one final look around the space that had been home for 4 years, then closed the door behind me, dropping my key through the mail slot. The first call came at 4:17 p.m., about an hour before she usually left work. I ignored it, focusing instead on arranging my new temporary room at Ryan's place. The second call followed immediately. Then a third. I silenced my phone and continued unpacking. By evening, she had called 27 times and left 16 voicemails that progressed from confusion to anger to panic. The text messages followed a similar pattern. "Where are you? What is going on? Call me immediately. You cannot just leave like this. How am I supposed to pay for everything myself?" That last one revealed everything about her priorities. Not that she would miss me, not that she loved me, but how my departure affected her financially. It confirmed that my decision, painful as it was, had been correct. From mutual friends, I heard about her scramble to understand the full rent amount, which was triple what she thought she had been paying. She had never actually looked at the lease or bills, leaving all that boring stuff to me. Now she faced the reality of her financial situation without my substantial contribution. She tried different approaches to get me back. Angry accusations of abandonment, tearful apologies that never quite addressed the core issue of how she had treated me, vague promises about couples therapy and working on communication. When those failed, she attempted manipulation, claiming health problems and family emergencies. I maintained my silence, healing in the quiet space away from her emotional whiplash. Finding a new roommate proved difficult for her. The apartment was expensive, and her income alone could not justify it. More importantly, potential roommates were put off by her controlling nature and excessive demands, things I had gradually accepted over years, but that strangers saw immediately as red flags. Despite my resolve, I had moments of doubt and pain. 5 years is not erased overnight. Sometimes I would reach for my phone to call her out of habit, missing the good parts of our relationship. The comfortable Sunday mornings reading together, the inside jokes no one else understood, her excitement when sharing good news. But these moments grew less frequent as weeks passed. My true friends, those who had watched me diminish myself to fit her expectations, rallied around me. They reminded me of how I had changed in her presence, becoming quieter, less confident, constantly seeking approval. They pointed out habits I had developed to avoid her criticism, from checking my appearance repeatedly before we went out to qualifying my opinions with phrases like "I might be wrong, but..." I started therapy, something Amanda had dismissed as unnecessary whenever I suggested it for our relationship issues. My therapist helped me understand the subtle pattern of emotional manipulation that had defined our last few years together. How Amanda had gradually isolated me from friends she deemed not ambitious enough, how she had criticized my interests until I abandoned them, how she had positioned herself as the prize I was lucky to have rather than an equal partner. Rediscovering myself was both exciting and scary. I joined a recreational basketball league, something Amanda had discouraged, because games sometimes fell on weeknights when she thought I should be available for her. I reconnected with old friends whose company I enjoyed, but whom Amanda had found boring or unsophisticated. Financially, I was surprised to discover how much further my money went without subsidizing Amanda's lifestyle. I started saving for a down payment on a small condo, a goal that had seemed impossible while covering our expensive apartment and Amanda's frequent impulse purchases. The calls and messages eventually slowed, then stopped entirely when she found someone else to latch onto, a vice president from another department who could better advance her career. According to mutual friends, she now introduced him as her boyfriend, immediately having learned at least that lesson from losing me. 6 months after moving out, I felt like myself again, or rather a stronger version of myself. I recognized the signs I had ignored for years. How compliments always came with subtle criticisms attached. How my successes were minimized while hers were celebrated for days. How discussions about our future remained perpetually vague, with conditions I needed to meet but never quite could. The hardest lesson was learning that love without respect is not really love at all. Amanda may have loved aspects of me, particularly what I provided, but she never respected me as an equal. Real partnership requires both people to value each other's dreams, contributions, and fundamental worth. Some nights I still think about that holiday party, the moment she called me her roommate, and the pain that followed. But now I see it as the gift. It was the clarity I needed to value myself enough to walk away. Sometimes the most loving thing you can do for yourself is to remove yourself from places where you are not valued. I am sharing this story not to vilify Amanda, but because I know many people stay in relationships where they are diminished, convincing themselves it is normal or the best they can expect. It took me 5 years to realize I deserved better. How long have you stayed in a situation that did not honor your worth? If my story resonated with you, please leave a comment below about a time you found the courage to walk away from someone who did not value you. Like this video, if you have ever had that moment of clarity about your own worth. Subscribe to hear more stories about finding strength through difficult experiences. And please share this with someone who might need to be reminded of their value. Thank you for listening to my journey, and remember, you are never just someone's roommate, convenience, or stepping stone. You are worthy of real, proud, respectful love.